It's a beautiful day in my area. I hope it's beautiful in your area as well. It's Coach Tracy. For those of you guys who have never met me, thank you so much for being here with me. I really appreciate it. If you are catching this on the replay, please let me know by typing replay in the comments so I can reach out to you, okay? Well, today I am popping on here because I wanted to talk about boundaries. Here we are in 2021, and we've made lots of resolutions. We've made set intentions. We've created vision boards and so on and so forth. But we need to set some boundaries because if we don't set the necessary boundaries, those goals, it may be a little bit difficult to reach those goals. And if you see me looking away, please know that I am live on YouTube, Instagram, as well as Facebook. So my apologies, but you got to work with what you got to work with, right? At anywho, we're going to talk about 6 necessary personal boundaries that we all need to have in place so that we can protect our peace and protect our power. Not only just protect our power, but retain our power, okay? Boundaries are the guidelines, if you will, the rule book, the playbook of our life, okay? Those are the things that we use to teach people how to treat us, not only how to treat us, but also what it will require for them to remain in our presence, okay? Because remember, our energy is our currency. And also, if we're not protecting those things, we are going to be pouring out of our cup instead of out of our overflow. And that's not what we want to do. That's not what we're doing in 2021, right? All right. Thank you again for everyone who is popping on right now. If you think the content that I'm going to be sharing with you guys is going to be helpful for somebody else, please, please, please hit that share button and invite them to join us on Facebook, Instagram, or on YouTube, okay? So let's just get into it. 6 boundaries. I'm going to start with one that we all are very familiar with, and that is our stuff. Material boundaries. Now, if you're like me, I don't loan a lot of things. It's just not my nature. I'm very particular about my clothing. I'm very particular about the cleanliness of my vehicle. I'm very particular. Let's just put it that way, okay? So I don't loan things very often. However, when I do loan things, I have expectations of how they will be returned to me, okay? So you have to set boundaries about that. Not only whether or not you are going to allow people to utilize your personal properties, whether it be your car, whether it's your clothes, it could be your camera, it could be a number of things. Whatever it is, you have to set the necessary boundaries, okay? For instance, like I said, I'm very particular about my car. If you're going to use my car, my kids, my mom, everybody knows this, my husband knows this. Do not leave trash in my car. Do not leave trash in my car. Do not smoke in my car. I don't know any smokers anyway, but that's definitely a no-no. So I have boundaries about what you can do or how you can do it. And to borrow my vehicle, it has got to be an emergency. And I have to know how you maintain your vehicle, how you drive, all of those type things before you can borrow my vehicle, okay? So that's a boundary that I have. My clothes, I'm very particular about my clothes, my jewelry, anything that is very important to you, you need to set boundaries about it with regard to those type things, your material things, okay? That's the first boundary. The second boundary I'm going to say is going to be your emotions. Emotions can be a tricky thing, right? Because all of us have grown up and we develop certain ways of being based on the environment that we grew up in, what we've been exposed to, and of course, what we experience, right? So when we talk about our emotional boundaries, what we're talking about is protecting how much energy we are willing to invest in someone when they come to you for advice, for assistance, or things of that nature that are going to require you to get in your emotions. Because remember, our emotions are created by our thoughts create our feelings, and our feelings create our emotions. So that's a lot of work going into just creating our emotions, right? So we want to make sure we protect that energy. And I don't know if you saw me before, but we talked about some emotional triggers. This goes back into that, because when you have these emotional boundaries set up, you can actually minimize the emotional triggers that pop off in your life, right? So let's talk about what a violation or what an emotional boundary is, and how it happens. Um, if you're one to justify your emotions, or someone is requiring you to justify your emotions to them, or you are assuming, or someone is assuming your emotions. Another one is when someone criticizes your emotions. And that happens quite a bit. And I want you guys to think about this, because the boundaries that we're talking about, they are not necessarily just from personal. These are boundaries that also need to be set in your professional life, your office space, and so forth, with your coworkers, with your supervisors, and so forth. Because these types of emotional boundaries that we just talked about, those lines can be crossed really easily in the professional atmosphere. So justifying, criticizing, assuming what your emotions are. And if you lived in a household where the lines were crossed as far as emotions, and everyone kind of rode on their roller coaster of someone else's emotions, so you never knew where yours started and theirs ended, and so forth, that's called enmeshment. And that's something that you have to be really careful of too, that you're not buying into, or feeding into other people's emotions, and on their roller coaster, and it ain't even yours, right? You might not even like roller coaster rides, but here you are on a roller coaster going up and down because you've allowed that to happen. So definitely you need to set some boundaries when it comes to your emotions. Another one is emotional dumping. Okay. Has a participant or been the emotional dumper? I had a friend that, I will say this, she always asked if I could talk. Um, so whenever she said that, I knew that she was going to share her emotions with me. Now, there are people who will dump on you their emotions, everything that's going on, and before you know it, they've just started the conversation. They don't even ask permission whether or not you have the capacity right now to hold their space for them, because sometimes we don't have the capacity to hold space for someone. That's called emotional dumping. And you have to set those boundaries up. And a great way you can say that is like, you know what, before you start, I would love to listen to you, but right now I just do not have the emotional capacity. I don't have the time. I cannot. I've got a lot going on right now. But if you will give me a call tomorrow, if it can wait till tomorrow or another time, I'll be more than happy to listen to you. That's an easy way to set up that emotional boundary, to let people know that they can't just show up and show out and just dump their stuff off with you. Okay. Another one is, many of us have had this, inappropriate questions, statements, topics, and things of that nature. If you've had that, let me see some hands go up, okay? Some hearts go up, right? We've all had that. Stop them. Excuse me, but that's not an appropriate question. No, we're not doing that. Okay? Not doing that. And as Black women, I'm going to say that has happened more often than I would care to actually say a lot of times, for whatever reason. And we actually know what the reason is, because of the generational trauma and white supremacy. And we get asked questions or things said to us inappropriately quite a bit. We have to be very, very, very cognizant of when people are doing that, and start using our voice and taking back our power. Okay. So make certain that you are really thinking about these emotional boundaries. That was number two. This third one we're going to talk about is our time, our energy, guys. We really have to be careful about the boundaries and setting those boundaries, but not just setting the boundaries. And I want to go back, make sure I say that we're not just going to set the boundaries. We need to enforce the boundaries, and we also need to maintain them. Okay. But let's just talk about time and energy boundaries. There are a lot of people that because you are such a great person, you have a great heart a lot of times, right? Before you know it, you are being invited to this place, being invited to that place. You're doing more than you really thought that you wanted to do. And the simple reason why that's happening is because you forgot to use your voice and you forgot the power of your no. Okay. In order to protect your time and your energy, you will have to start using your voice and using the power and remembering the power of your no. Okay. So let me give you some examples how your time and energy boundaries can be violated, and sometimes not intentionally, but you have to be cognizant of it. And of course, you have to start speaking so that people will understand that this cannot happen anymore. One of those is people always ask them for favors from you. Do you mind? Do you mind taking care of so and so? Or do you mind dropping off so and so? Or do you mind if I borrow so and so? Do you mind if I do this? Do you mind? Favors. Sometimes we got to use our voice and say, I'm sorry, but I can't help you out right now. Would love to, but I can't help you out right now. Okay. Got to learn how to say no. Free labor. Have you ever had a friend that needed a resume written or some work done or need some help with something, and they know that you're qualified? And so they reach out to you and go, sister friend, sister girl, I really need your help. I need to get this resume written, or I need to get this article written, or I need to have pictures taken, whatever that thing may be. I really need you to do it for me. And unfortunately, because you've forgotten to use your voice and the power of your no, you end up doing it. So you got to set some boundaries there, okay? This is a pet peeve of mine. Those people who violate your time and your energy, those people who show up late to everything, or they don't even have the common decency and respect for you to let you know they're not going to be able to come. So they just are a no-show. Got to cut them off. That boundary looks like maybe you don't invite things. Or if they show up late, maybe you don't invite them in. I'm sorry, but we've already started. Next time. Just saying. Just saying. All right. Thank you so much. This one is very, very important, and it's our mental or the intellectual. Here's the thing. People will tell you what you should be thinking, what you ought to be feeling. Isn't that amazing? They can tell you what you should be thinking, what you ought to believe, tell you what your opinions are. Okay? That's a no-no. You have every right, my sister, to your thoughts. They are your thoughts. You have every right to your beliefs, your values, your opinions. Again, this goes back to using your voice. There is so much power in your tongue, peace, and your power. Okay. So you're going to have to make certain that you set those boundaries and let people know that, you know what, I really appreciate your feedback and I respect it. I need you to do the very same. Respect my thoughts, respect my values, respect my beliefs, respect my opinions. Okay. Now, you do not have to agree, but what you will do is respect them. I said that very nicely, but I said it authoritatively also. Okay. Make certain that your boundaries are being respected with regard to your thoughts. Okay. The next one is physical. We have one more to go after this one. Physical boundaries. In this age of a pandemic, COVID-19, something that none of us have lived through before, boundaries, physical boundaries are so very important. Physical boundaries today can be the difference between life and death. So we really, really, really have to start using our voice. I am very big about people staying 6 feet away from me. I'm one of those people, sometimes I'll be running my mouth, because y'all can see I love to talk, right? I can be running my mouth, and before I know it, I'm in your space. I don't do it intentionally, but what I am recognizing about myself is that I move out of your space really quickly, because I also do not want someone to violate my personal space. So with the advent of COVID-19, it's actually helping people to understand that there is a such thing as personal space. And sometimes we have to be very vocal about maintaining that personal space. Again, your voice. I'm going to go back to that, because speaking your truth, this is where you get your peace and your power, by speaking it out. Okay. The other physical boundaries could be PDAs. Not everybody likes to be touched. I am a hugger. If you know me, you know I'm going to hug you. Okay. It just is what it is. However, I also know that there are people who are not huggers. So I have to respect that. They've set that boundary up for me, and I am going to respect that, because one, I value them. Okay. And I would never do anything to minimize what their beliefs, how they feel, and certainly not going to get into their space. Okay. That's another one. Another one is touch. I'm a Black woman with natural hair. This is my personal space. Don't just reach out and touch my hair. This is my hair growing out of my scalp. Okay. So you have to have boundaries with that as well. I do have people sometimes come up to me and say, "Oh my gosh, your hair is so pretty. Can I touch it?" Depending on your energy, that's going to be a maybe, maybe not. I'm not really I really don't like people touching my hair. I don't. And I am big on letting you know, nope. Thank you. I really appreciate it. But no, you cannot touch my hair. I am not an animal. Not an animal. Okay. That's how it makes me feel. So I don't like that. However, I do respect those people who ask me if they can touch my hair. I really appreciate that they respect that this is my personal space. Okay. And I will do my best to come back. I'm on Instagram as well, to respond to comments and so forth. As a Black woman, I will have to say this has been something that I have unfortunately been privy to. And it's those inappropriate comments about my shape, about my lips, me in general. Sometimes they're physical, sometimes they're sexual, either or. I have to cut you off. And I'm praying that you all will do the same thing. Cut people off when those things happen. Let them know beyond a shadow of a doubt that it is not acceptable, it is not respectable, and you will not tolerate it. Remember, your boundaries are designed to set the basic guidelines, and this is just the basic guidelines of how you will treat me, how you will be treated, and whether or not you're going to be able to stay in my presence. Period. Point blank. Okay? Now, this is going into the last one, which is sexual boundaries. And a lot of times we don't talk about this, but we're grown. Most of us have relationships, right? And many of us are sexually active. However, that does not mean that there are not boundaries that we need to set. For instance, the subject of contraception, who is going to be the person, or will we both be the people who are going to be utilizing contraception? Sometimes there are incidents where the woman is told what she can and cannot do, or, you have these comments about not being comfortable, not enjoying sex with a condom on. Well, you have to set your boundaries. For me, if I were single, first and foremost, I'm a present. It's going to be very difficult to get this gift, okay? I don't really play that way. But if we were going to be sexually active, condoms are not something that's a no-brainer for me. So we're going to have that conversation, and my conversation with you is going to be like this. You know what? I'm sure it would be amazing, but we're not there. So, bro man, I'm gonna need you to put a hat on it. I'm gonna need you to put a hat on it. Okay. Those are my boundaries, because here's the thing. I'm not trying to get AIDS, HIV, and AIDS. That's something that you can't get. You're gonna die with. Okay. I'm not trying to get any STDs, and I pray that none of you all are either. They're not comfortable. Okay. I'm sure they're not. I don't want something that's going to prevent me, if I were in childbearing age, that I could, contract from somebody, and it prevent me from having children